data to be permanent, it needs to be fault tolerant, tamper-proof, and paid for. The Endowment is Arweave's way of paying for permanent data far into the future. So what is it? Well, it's a pool of R tokens that is entirely managed by the protocol itself. When you post data to Arweave, it's posted in the form of transactions, and you only pay for the amount of data that you're storing. Store a megabyte, pay for a megabyte. Store a gigabyte, pay for a gigabyte. Because Arweave scales, you never have to pay gas fees, and everyone pays the same price for storage. What's interesting is that 95% of the fee that you pay is deposited in Arweave's endowment. Only 5% goes to reward the miner who includes your transaction in a block, which is added to the blockchain. The key thing to understand here is that over a long enough time horizon, the cost of storing your data goes to zero. This is because the hard drives improve at an exponential rate. Historically, the data density of hard drives increases at a rate of 30% per year, having a similar impact on the cost of storage. So the key here is to pay enough that your data can be stored until these exponential effects kick in and drive the cost close to zero. If you pay too little, the endowment will run out of tokens, and miners won't be economically incentivized to store your data. That means your data won't be permanent. So it's important not to underpay for permanent storage. It's also important to pay once for permanent data. If your data's permanence is dependent on a recurring fee, what happens when you miss a payment? The most common cause of data loss is drive failure. Research done on 20,000 hard drives in real-world data centers found that the mean time between failure of hard disks was 5 years. So what Arweave does is it assumes when a drive fails, it is replaced by another drive within 14 days. And the new drive is already 4 years old. Given these parameters, it's possible to statistically calculate the chance of data being lost based on how many copies on how many drives. Arweave takes it a step further and charges for 20 copies for 200 years. But instead of assuming that the cost of storage is going to continue to decline at 30% per year, Arweave assumes 0.5%, which still leaves enough time in those 200 years for the cost to inch its way down towards zero. The cool thing is that anytime the cost of storage decreases more than 0.5%, it extends out the term that the endowment can fund the storage of your data. Under simulation, in the very worst of conditions with high token volatility and very small improvements in the cost of declines in the cost of storage, Arweave can still pay to store your data for 200 years. But under most reasonable versions of the future, the endowment can afford to fund your data for 10,000 years or more. Amazing. So this will be my first time attending Arweave Day in Asia. And as I understand it, the last one held in Asia was the very first Arweave Day. And since then, there's been Arweave Days all over the world at different crypto events. I attended one in Denver, in Lisbon, in Berlin, but everyone said that the original Arweave Day was the best. And so this year, I'm excited to be attending Arweave Day in Asia. I'm DMac, and I'm a builder in the Arweave ecosystem. Welcome to Arweave Day in Asia. I look forward to seeing you in Singapore.